South African Police Service members will be the next group of frontline workers to get the COVID-19 jab. The SAPS vaccination drive will kick off tomorrow with over 180,000 members of the force expected to be vaccinated. The police service says it has 108 vaccination sites registered across the country. Joining us for more on this, we're speaking to Police Ministry spokesperson Lirandzu Themba, who joins us virtually. Lirandzu, thank you very much for your time. Of course, this is good news for the police force in the country.
Absolutely, Masiho. You know, the effect of COVID-19 regarding the SAPS, the men and women in blue, is well documented. We've seen the fact that over 670 SAPS members have succumbed to this vicious virus, but also we've had over 30,000 infections, Masiho. So this really brings forward to the fact that the police, obviously being in the front lines when the country was encouraged to stay at home, the police were continuing to man the roadblocks, to really enforce the law, but also just to make sure that DMA regulations are adhered to. And of course, this really brought them to the coal face of this horrible virus. So we are thrilled as a police ministry, but also as a SAPS, that the vaccination of the men and women in blue rather is going ahead. We are having our media launch on the 5th, which is tomorrow. And of course, the nationwide rollout will take place on the 8th of July.
What are you going to do as the police ministry when it comes to vaccine hesitancy? South Africans have the right to say they don't want to take the vaccine, but what will you do to convince your members to take the jab?
It's something that we've done already. We have extensively communicated in-house, and really it starts there. That message really has to start in-house, where we are telling our members about how this process, of course, is voluntary, but we are highly encouraging them to do so, because we know that if we do have healthy members, it means that the service is in a better position to provide the much-needed services to the men, to South Africans. And I think also because we are on the third wave, Masiho, our members are wiser to the effects of COVID-19. Our members are part of society. They too have lost loved ones. They too have lost people that are dear and near to them, to the virus. And of course, the sort of, a sense that we're getting on the ground is that police officers are thrilled to be taking part in this. But of course, as I've said, and as you mentioned, that it is a process that is voluntary, but it is highly encouraged. And we are going to continue with our in-house communication. We also believe that the fact that we're going to be seeing the police minister being one of the first people to take the jab, but also the National Commissioner, General Kehla Sitole, being the first uniformed member to take the jab. This will obviously, give a strong message to South Africans, but also to SAPS officers that this vaccine is safe and it is the right thing to do to make sure that we have long life, essentially, when we're seeing so much, people succumbing to this dreadful virus.
Lirandzu, I have to take you from that, of course, to Nkandla, and I'm pretty sure you knew that we're going to pose this question to the ministry. Why hasn't anybody been arrested? People are saying if this was an ordinary protest during lockdown level 4, people would have been arrested, and we've seen this happen. Why hasn't anybody been arrested in Nkandla?
Well, Masiho, I can tell you that from the conversations that I've had even this morning, but also throughout the weekend, police are investigating what exactly, or these alleged contraventions of the COVID-19 regulations of the DMA. Of course, the police ministry views this in a very serious light, and we would want to get those sort of answers from the police on the ground, from the police in the province as well. But we are encouraged by the fact that there is an investigation that is ongoing, and we really hope that there would be answers that you are also posing. But for now, as I've mentioned, there is an investigation into these contravention of the DMA, And we can only, as a ministry as well, just really urge the Africans and urge the people that are gathering outside the former president's homestead that the virus is with us. Maseko, you have just mentioned the amount of people that have succumbed and are still, succumbing to this virus. And it is not just for the benefit of themselves, but for their loved ones as well. So we are encouraging people to adhere to the lockdown regulations. We are really encouraging for people not to break the law, especially doing so deliberately.
We encourage people, Lirandzu, and clearly people in many parts of KZN are not listening to the encouragement by the police. We're seeing, for instance, visuals on the Mandeni off-ramp KZN that was sent to us earlier by our team. You're seeing people with no masks, no social distancing, and no police presence.
And this is a thing that was picked up and was discussed extensively when the Minister of Police met with the provincial structures. And one thing that you're going to see that is going to be very different, Maseko, is the factor of police presence. And, we don't want to have a situation where we are now saying that, look, because we didn't do this last week, we're not going to do it this week. What I'm saying to you is that police presence is going to be stepped up. We have already seen this starting with visible patrolling, but also just stop and search operations that are taking place. We believe that this will also go a long way in ensuring that people that do find themselves outside the homestead, but also in those pockets of gatherings that you're talking about, are doing so in a safe manner. What I'm trying to say, Maseko, is that while we don't have those answers right now as to why people have not been arrested, we are certainly going to make sure that we don't have the same questions this week. That is why I'm saying to you that SAPS have vowed to step up their presence in and around the KZN area.
Lirandzu, vowing to step up, I think, doesn't really assist us because we had this judgment coming out on Tuesday, and we've seen, for instance, the MKMVA camping outside the president's home from the beginning of this hearing at the Constitutional Court. All South Africans knew that this might happen in Nkandla. Why didn't the police prepare for this? Our colleagues are saying they're seeing one vehicle at a time outside the Nkandla home. Why couldn't this be prepared for? Wasn't it obvious that you needed to prepare for this?
I would think so. And also what you are asking me now are operational matters that, I'm really hesitant to get on because of the office that I'm holding. But I can give you comfort and the reporters that you have on the ground that the national spokesperson of the police, Brigadier Vishnadu, is on his way to Nkandla. And he will be answering those very questions that you're talking about. And I think that if you do allow me to just have that opportunity for the SAPS to really respond, because not only were they in that meeting that I spoke to you about yesterday, but they also will actually map up a way forward with regards to the police presence that is going to be stepped up, and also just answer those questions that you're talking about. So I'm not passing the back, Maseko. I am saying that the police are going to have to answer those questions, and I would really urge that we allow that process to happen. As I've mentioned, that the spokesperson for the police service, the National Police Service, Brigadier Vishnadu, is on his way to Nkandla and will be taking those questions from the media.
While I still have you on air, Lirandzu, we know that this is an unprecedented case. It's the first time we're going through it, but are police preparing to arrest the former president by Wednesday? Are there any preparations to do that?
Well, Maseko, what I can say to you is that the court case that is going to take place at the Pietermaritzburg High Court does fall within the 3 days where the SAPS, or rather the Court has been instructed to act. We know that the 29th ruling does indicate that the Minister of Police as well as the National Commissioner of the Police Service have to act within 3 days after the 5 days has lapsed. We know that today is the last day of the 5 days for the former president to hand himself over, and of course there is still the 3 days. So we await what will happen with regards to the application at the High Court, the Pietermaritzburg High Court. But let us not be too forward as to what and what will not happen. All I can say is that there are meetings that are taking place behind closed doors we're not sitting and doing nothing and meeting to speak to the next step. And that next step will be communicated in due course. I think we just all need to be patient. But it's very important to be very aware of the fact that the Minister of Police has been very clear on this last week when he had this press conference, and he made mention that the police will act on a court order, and this is actually what the police will do. And we also have to...
Well, the court order is from an apex court, the highest court in the land, which says you should arrest him. The high court is a lower court.
Yeah, the apex court's decision stands, Maseko. So this is exactly what I'm saying to you, that we will await for the process on Tuesday, but at the same time, we know that the apex court has ruled, and that's exactly what we're going to have to do. Right now, the police are looking at what the apex court has ruled on. Nothing else has...
And preparations are in place? Preparations are preparations in place to enforce what the apex court said, because you're in agreement with me that the apex court is the highest and that decision has been made. So what happens on Tuesday doesn't really deal with it doesn't really go against what the apex court has already said on the 29th of June. So are there any preparations?
This is why I'm saying to you that the police ministry, the police management does not have any plans to contravene what the apex court has ruled. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now on this matter.